We are standing in the National Gallery of Australia's recently installed display of geometric abstraction. It's a little known fact that the National Gallery of Australia has one of the finest collections of work from this period. Many of the works were painted in the late 1960s and early 1970s and were acquired at the time of their production. So walking through this space is literally like going back in time. The other thing to know about the works in this room is quite a number of them featured in the groundbreaking exhibition in 1968 called The Field, which really laid out geometric abstraction, hard edge abstraction and minimalism to Australian audiences for the first time. These works shook off the last vestiges of cubism and figuration, and artists began to work with bold and sometimes clashing colours, and they flattened out the picture plane and abandoned all allusion to space and narrative. Let's take a closer look. This work was one of the works which actually featured in that exhibition, The Field, that I mentioned. It's by Howard Neuritis and it's called Come Away and was painted in 1968. He is recognised for his evocations of the natural world, and he paints with a characteristic crispness and reduced palette, which he uses to great optical effect. The intense ultramarine and earth hues connote landfall at the ocean's edge, and the curling forms that snake through the composition suggest flow and current. The work was actually painted from sketches that Neuritis made of Brisbane waters near Gosford in the early 1960s. Noumenon 32, otherwise known as Red Square, is one of many works that Alan Leach-Jones painted in this series. The noumenon is actually a philosophical term that describes a pure idea and form as opposed to a phenomenon, which is a thing perceived by the senses. The artist is interested in the deeper meanings residing within the forms, hence the complex labyrinth contained within the central circle. This rainbow-coloured work by Cole Jordan was painted in 1968 and was also in the Field exhibition. Jordan is well known for his brilliantly coloured maze-like abstractions that create the optical illusion of depth and space. In the late 1960s, he painted a core group of works about the ancient Greek figure of Daedalus, who was the father of Icarus. Window 4 by David Aspen is an immersive colour experience in brilliant violet. He said of the series, "My intention being to envelope the viewer in a structure of colour forces." Michael Johnson painted Emperor in London in 1965 using cadmium yellow lemon pigments. The dramatic use of a strong solid colour radiates a high key energy, evoking a sense that the work is a wall of colour. The folded Rorschach shape in the centre is one form folded 4 ways, which plays with both the vertical and horizontal axes. This next work is by Robert Rooney. It's called Kind-Hearted Kitchen Garden No. 2 and was painted in 1967. Rooney's lively geometric paintings come out of his fascination for what he calls the secret life of the suburbs. While painted in the vein of pure hard-edge abstraction, it draws on the seemingly banal or devalued aspects of mass culture and daily life. Its genesis actually came from the observation of his parents' life at his family home, and the key geometric form within is based upon the shape inside a clothes peg. The title itself is also a ready-made, taken directly from the title of a double page in a dictionary. Let's turn away from the wall for a while and have a look at what's on the floor in this space. Here is Untitled Floor Structure by Nigel Linden. And it has a rather perfunctory sounding title. In fact, imbued in the work is a sense that it might actually be a functional object and not an artwork at all. Made of high gloss, stacked brightly coloured panels, Linden has really cleverly jettisoned any sense of the handmade in this work. And by placing it directly on the floor, he turns upside down that idea of traditional 3D sculpture, which is normally installed on a plinth in the museum space. We decided to install 2 works by pioneering abstract artist Janet Dawson, Heaney's Rose from 1968 and Wall 2. An earlier version of this painting was included in The Field. While at first glance it appears to be a pure abstraction and an evocation of the grid structure, in fact it depicts a memory of a childhood scene recalled by the artist. A prodigious talent, Janet's mother had taken her to Sydney at the age of 6 to meet Will Ashton. She was sitting overlooking the harbour at Lady Macquarie's chair and was confronted with the wall of a Navy ship in the Woolloomooloo Wharf being painted. The close-range image came back to her in 1968, resulting in the painting. The National Gallery has also been collecting the work of Leslie Dumbrell for many years. Ripple, painted in 1972, is a deliberately ambiguous painting. It is about the graduation of tone and the optical illusion of space created by certain combinations of tone and colour. While it is quite tonal on the one hand, with its graduating grey scale, it is also highly optical. This next work by Virginia Cuppage has a very special place in our collection. Called Lion, it was painted in New York a few years after Cuppage had arrived there from Sydney, clutching one suitcase and one telephone number. That phone number was Clement Meadmore's, and she painted this work in his honour, Lion being his middle name. Cuppage commented that the series began with the idea of painting something of the streets of New York. It shares a really wonderful link with Clement Meadmore's monumental sculpture on the shores of Lake Burley Griffin, which he named after her and is called Virginia. The NGA actually commissioned Clement Meadmore to make Virginia for our sculpture garden. We also have this beautiful small painted wooden maquette for the work. Interestingly, most of Meadmore's titles are quite descriptive, but this is the only one named after a person, and in fact Meadmore and Cuppage's union was one of the great love stories of the era. There is an entire second room beyond this space, featuring works on paper, photography and furniture from the period. In fact, the amazing thing about this display of geometric abstraction is it is really just the tip of the iceberg in relation to the NGA's substantive collection of masterpieces from the 1960s and 70s.